My name's Brandon Hardesty. I am the singer and songwriter of Bumpin Uglies, which was established in 2008, so I've been doing this for 10 years.
Just another suburban stereotype. I've got the love for the rhythms and the grooves, despite that I'm not from the islands. I'm the palest.
So the name Bumpin Uglies came from my buddy Zach and I. Like before there was even a band, we would just jam. Like I was like, he would play hand drums and I play acoustic guitar. And he was in the initial lineup of the band. It was his idea. We were all sitting around like looking for band ideas. And we just wanted something funny. Like again, like with the album names, we wanted something funny and memorable. Something that was kind of like a double entendre. And I did not plan on doing this forever, so I would have had a better name for sure if I'd known I was going to be doing this when I was 32.
Hold up a second, girl, that wasn't in the deal. I enjoy the freak scene. I ain't ordering the mail, I'm trying to be rude. Hope you understand. We can be robbers, I ain't gonna be a man.
Oh man, like, okay, so like East Porter Rockin', for example, was like, that was like the long-term goal of the band. Like when I started it, like I was playing East Porter Rockin', and like for, you know, when they finally did book us, like he was asking me, he's like, dude, you should change the name, like change the name of the band. Can we please change the name of the band so I don't have to put this on a shirt? And I was like, no. That's just like one example of like, there's been many situations where people just feel like it's a stupid fucking band name. We are permanently not able to play with Sublime with Rome or the Dirty Heads because they have the same management, and we got a letter from their manager telling us the letter was like, don't ever ask us for anything, P.S. go fuck yourself. That is a verbatim phrasing from them. So and that wasn't even, it wasn't like a diss, like that wasn't a diss, it was just like, once again, it was just funny, because it's like, you can't play reggae rock music without being compared to Sublime. It's like the #1 thing people will say when they hear you, like, oh, you know, you kind of sound like Sublime, like, yeah, huge influence. So like, that, you know, like Sublime with Rome, like that was a thing, that was an entity. So it's like, all right, you're Sublime with Rome, we're Sublime with no one, you know, like it's like a nod to the sound, but that shit was not taken well. So in retrospect, like I wish like we could go back and do it, like undo it, but we're not gonna, you can't unring the bell, and it's still funny, like I still think it's funny, so fuck them, you know. I started messing around on the piano like when I was a kid. I was never very good at it, but I would just try to figure out melodies for like songs that I like, and then I started learning about chords and what they were, and just, you know, I'd play around with like doing Christmas carols. Like my mom played piano, so she had like a cheat sheet kind of book for Christmas music, so I would sit around and try to figure that stuff out. I never got very good at piano. Then I started playing guitar when I was 17, and started learning other people's songs, like using tabs and whatnot, and started writing songs shortly after. I like to think of it as like, it's like a kind of like in a mixture. It's like the storytelling aspect of like folk and Americana mixed with like the passion and the energy of like ska punk and reggae rock and like hip hop even, you know. I mean, I pretty much get inspiration from anything I like, you know what I mean? If I hear something and I like it, I'm like, that's dope, you know, and I kind of want to do it. Like as a songwriter, I'm really into, I mean, Ben Folds is who really made me want to write songs. I really admire his style. I've always kind of thought of him as like a triple threat in the sense that he's like a super accomplished pianist. He's an incredible singer as well, but then he's also this super sarcastic and intelligent songwriter. And I just remember hearing him for the first time and hearing the way he wrote lyrics, and just how like not that serious it was, but at the same time it wasn't like, for example, like Bloodhound Gang, you know, is another band that's like, their stuff was like not serious, but it's very dumb at the same time. Like Ben Folds writes lyrics that are like super funny, but like really witty and intelligent at the same time, and I just really admired that. So I mean, he's always been a huge influence of mine from a songwriting perspective. I really dig Jason Isbell, Joe Pug these days, Sturgill Simpson is really rad. Sublime is obviously a huge influence on the band's sound, like musically speaking. Yeah, I mean, in the last like 2 years, we've kind of like ramped up the operation in the sense like we got like our original booking agent was our buddy Rob, Pirate Rob, who kind of like came into like he became a booking agent because like we were working together and we needed a booking agent. He wasn't like established in that respect. He was a promoter before, then he became a booking agent working with us. We switched agents in the last, it's been a little over a year, with a firm now, you know, like a guy that had a little more history and experience. And we brought on a manager, a pretty established manager, you know, but I very much think of us as a DIY grassroots operation because like while we do have like representation at this point, it's not like any real financial backing. You know, we make all our money through touring and just independent operations. Money is fucking crazy, man. Like trying to keep the whole thing going. It's real expensive keeping a band going, and especially when you're making the money yourself, like going out touring and stuff. Like in the last few years, it's gotten way easier because the money's gotten better. But like in the beginning, there was just no money, you know. And we made all our money doing bar gigs, you know, just like it was weird because we're an original band, you know. Like we would do some covers and stuff, but it's mostly original band or original music. That was hard, and then finding the right guys was really hard. We went through like a revolving door of drummers for a while before we finally found TJ. It's just hard finding people with the right, I guess not values, I guess could be a good word for it, but just like, you know, like you need to be on the same wavelength, like you need to be a good player, but then you also need to have the same principles about why you're doing it, you know. And it took a while to find the right squad, but I feel like we got it now, which is pretty cool. Wolfie is at this point by far the longest member in the band. I met him at the Whiskey in Annapolis, which was like kind of like the watering hole for local musicians back in the day. That's where the band, initially I put it together. And he was playing in a band called the Cheaters. And my other bass player, my original bass player, was a manager at the restaurant that I worked at. He was the whole reason we started the band. I'd never been in a band before, and it was his idea. So I was like, all right, fuck it. And he was older, like significantly older than us, and kind of was just over it. About a year into it, and Wolfie stopped playing with the Cheaters, so we just kind of linked up. And that was immediately we started touring. We got a van and started touring because he was about it, I was about it. I'd never done it before, but Pasadena took us on our first tours, and we saw them doing it. It was like, fuck it, let's do it too. Hopped in the van with them, started bouncing around. TJ played in a band out of the Philadelphia area called the Maulers that was like very similar ska punk reggae kind of stuff when we play shows together. And like I said, we were going through like a revolving door kind of thing with drummers. And then when it just became that time of the year again where we needed a new drummer, his band was kind of like had stopped playing as much, and he was looking for a touring gig. And you know, we started talking and tried out, and it was immediately like a great fit. And you know, his attitude was great too, which was cool, which is why it's worked out. And then Chad played in a band called Close to Consideration, which we out of the Harrisburg area, which we'd also played with before. And that came to be just because the last record we were working on, Beats from the East, I knew like when we were making it, it had a lot more like keyboard tones and whatnot. And I'd always wanted a fourth guy, but like I wanted a multi-instrumentalist. So I knew like to do these songs right, we needed a keyboard player. But ideally, I wanted a keyboard player. In my head, I was thinking I wanted a keyboard player who also played like trumpet or some shit. And what Chad does is keyboard and guitar, and it's awesome. It's like a whole thing I couldn't even really have expected, like what we can do with him. But I knew I wanted a multi-instrumentalist, so I made a post on Facebook about it. I was just like, hey, looking for a guy. Like I don't know exactly what, but like I want another guy like in the band. And it just ended up being great because he sings, he just shreds on guitar and kills it on keyboard as well. So it just brought the sound to a whole new level. We're doing just like the music we're making now is just so fucking cool, man. It's been exciting.